Good evening, everyone, and welcome to the Fayetteville Public Library. My name is Kathy Stevens, and I am so glad to see you here tonight, and those of you at home that are watching, welcome as well. It is my pleasure to welcome Lynn Reding. Lynn is the owner of Organizing with Lynn and the Wise Owl team. Since 2006, Lynn has been helping families learn to minimize the accumulation of belongings we encounter in life. Lynn has helped countless people downsize, declutter, and organize to simplify their homes. Lynn is the author of 2 Minutes or Less, a book with helpful ideas and strategies for people to stop procrastinating and tackle everyday tasks officially and simply. So I would like to welcome Lynn. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Kathy.
You're welcome.
Okay, so as she said, I'm Lynn Reding, and I've been organizing for about 17 years. I don't want to blind anybody with my, hang on. Okay, good. 17 years, and I have to say I'm really, really excited to be here tonight. And I don't think there's a more perfect time to be here to present this presentation to you, this class to you, than the month of October, because in October, what do we celebrate? Halloween. And so Halloween is about scary things, right? And I have some scary pictures to show you. Is everybody interested in seeing some scary pictures? We've probably all seen hoarders, but we may not know that person may live next door to us or that person may be in our family. So what I want you to take away from this today is the thing that I try to teach everyone, no matter if you're 5, 30, 50, or 80. We should always be downsizing. Always. And why is that? That's right. Because we live in an overconsumer culture. Am I right? Yes. And because of that, we are suffocating. Would you agree with that? Yes. Exactly. We are suffocating, okay? And so I have some solutions, and so we're going to get started. So, do you feel like you're spending a little too much time shuffling stuff around? Okay? So has anyone helped someone downsize that had an excessive amount of stuff, maybe an elderly relative who, you've helped them? Okay, and so you've seen this. This is a real person. We'll talk more about this later. So the key to organization that lasts is to leave room for more, white space. And that makes it easier to find what we have, find what we need, and return it when done. Now, why do we need to leave room for more?
Because it's always coming in.
It's always coming in. We're always bringing stuff in. So we have to make sure that we are always sending stuff out. And where do we start? When people bring me into their home and they say, oh, I've got this area and we need to get this all organized. And I said, the first thing I say is show me your storage, because that's where we need to start. You need to clear that out, subtract before you can add anything else. So always start in the storage areas. Now, kids need help managing clutter too, right? Never tell your child to go clean your room. You give them age-appropriate tasks regularly for a job this big, and they will need help. So, who is this room familiar to? Tracy? You did this. Tracy did this. Look at that. Now, oh, there you go. I'll point. So, okay, so what's the problem here?
Trash.
Yeah, trash. It's mostly trash, right? And this was a, 12-year-old girl's room. And I will be honest with you, the rest of the house needed some help too, but the mom brought us in to focus on this room. I would say that mom needed to set a few more ground rules. Would you say that? Mom needed to get a little more involved, not wait until it got like this. This is kind of like emergency. You can't find anything, you can't live. But in just a few hours, Tracy transformed this room. Tracy's one of my team members. So let's talk about how to start organizing. First off, random and miscellaneous causes the stress. Sorting and separating is the solution. So this is what we do. We set up big sorting tables, and we get our categories, however we're going to do it. Whether if it's in the office, you might have these categories. There's always a put away, and I just try to be very generic. And that becomes homework later. You don't run all over the house putting stuff away. You kind of sort it for later. Some things you might want to sell. I have some good options for this. When people tell me, oh, I want to sell this, then I say, how do you want to sell it? Where do you want to sell it? And when do you want to sell it? I always give people an expiration date. If they say, I want to sell this, then I'm going to say, let's decide how long it's going to take you to sell that, and let's put an expiration date on it so it doesn't stay there forever, because that's what happens. Right. And so here's another kind of a little way to sort. There's your put away. That might be, oh, this goes in the kitchen. If I'm in a closet and I find tea bags, and trust me, I find tea bags in closets. I say, is this where you drink your tea? And they say no. Well, let's put it where you're going to use it, okay? A lot of times they say, I have no idea what this is. So we put it in a box labeled unknown, and we let maybe somebody else who might know what it's in there look at it. Returns could be return to someone else. We do that a lot. Or return to a store. And I find a lot of things that should have been returned to the store a long time ago. Okay? Now, the bottom line, and that's why I say we should always be downsizing, is you cannot organize perfectly until you purge. That is the bottom line. So some of this stuff needs to go away. And as you can see, it did go away. Now, these are real pictures. A lot of the pictures you see on TV and the magazines, those are all staged. These are real people. This was an older lady. She didn't get around very well. She needed some help. So I went in there and I just help her go through her stuff and decide what she needs to keep and what she's ready to get rid of. And the most important reason to organize is to take personal inventory. If this is your pantry and you go to the store, you really don't know what you need, do you? Because you can't see it. But if you get it all nicely organized and there's a little bit of room for more, you know what you have. So one of the things that I tell people is organizing is never a waste of time, because it reminds you what you have and where it's at. So if you go to the store and you bring your grocery bags home, what are you going to do here? Nothing. You can't put it up, can you? So the benefits to downsizing, decluttering, and organizing is it makes you better at everything. It makes you a better partner because you have less to fuss with each other about, right? It makes you a better parent because you can help your kids be better organizers. And You just have more time. When you're not looking for things all the time and struggling to where to put things, you're going to have more time to hang out with the kids. It makes you a better child. The girl in the room, do you think she had some conflict with her parents? Yes, she did. It makes you a better sibling. You have your house in order. You can find what you need. You can, and then you have more time to spend with the family. So a better sibling. It makes you a better worker. You get to work on time. Or how about this? You get to work early. And you have time to take a deep breath and get into work mode. It makes you a better friend. You're not always late to things because you couldn't find a lot of stuff. It makes you a better human. Would anyone disagree? Okay. So clutter is a distraction. And do we need more distractions? We live in a distracted culture, don't we? Everything is a distraction. And I won't even talk about the cell phones. So, procrastination leads to clutter. That's what causes clutter, procrastination. You bring something home, and rather than putting it where it needs to go, you just sit it down. So you know that it needed to do something, and you needed to do something with it, and you didn't. You just set it down. That's procrastination, and it becomes a vicious cycle. Clutter, stress, procrastination, clutter, stress. And procrastination is very expensive. Okay? Stuff that you just let accumulate and stuff places eventually is going to end up in a dumpster, and that costs money. Now I'm going to tell you about this, because what I didn't tell you is I literally had just taken on the most difficult job, the worst situation of my 17-year career as a professional organizer, okay? A lady calls me from out of state. Her mom and dad they're not even very old, they're in their 70s, and they've developed some dementia. And so she moves them closer to her, and then she has to deal with the house in Northwest Arkansas. The house is cluttered, but not ridiculous. The garage is ridiculous. But then she discovered that her parents have 7 storage units. And everyone looked just like this. And they're paying $800 a month to store what? Because whatever is back in there in the back has probably already deteriorated, and I don't know if you can see the dust. She had to have the locks cut off of every one of them to get in. Her mom couldn't find the keys. Her mom had been going to flea markets, straight from a flea market to a storage unit. So, does organizing make you a better parent? Not doing this makes you a better human, right? You can't even imagine the stress. And this lady, like I said, is out of state. She has kids in school and a part-time job. She doesn't know when she's going to be able to come. So in other words, every month, $800. Now, let's look at some nice pictures, okay, for a change. So, how long will it take you to find what you need here? You just like that. So is this a junk drawer or a utility drawer? A utility drawer. So let's turn our junk drawers into utility drawers. Now, when you're done with what you've used, how long will it take you to return it? Right there. You put it right back. Makes it very easy. Now, do you know someone, I just had to throw this in because it was fun. Do you know someone who you walk into their house and it looks absolutely perfect? Maybe even your house. just don't open anything. Does anybody know anybody like that? Okay,
I have a really silly story.
okay. Share your silly story.
My first house, if someone was coming and I hadn't had time to do the dishes because I had a baby, I would put them in a dishpan and put them in the dryer. But then I would always get them out.
Good. Well, see, that's, well,
They didn't usually look at the
well,
dryer.
we're actually going to talk about that, okay? I have a word for it. It's called the scoop and hide, okay? I have a word for just about everything. But at least we know, you know that you have to get those dishes out because you're going to have to use that dryer. Okay, good, good. But this is what happens a lot. I'll walk in and I'll say, "What's the problem?" And they'll say, "Oh," and then they start opening things. Okay, so I'm going to throw in some of my fun organizing tips. First off, cans are a problem. Pantries are a problem. Shelves are a problem. Cabinets are not good places for cans. Here's my best can storage solution. And I love these flexible cutting mats. I get them at the Dollar Tree, which now it's $1.25, but that's okay. It's still a good deal, and I use them for a lot of ways. Flexible cutting mats. I make a large funnel. You can put them, roll them up and put them in a plastic bag so you can make it easy to pour in and it stands up. But here's one of my best ones. Roll them up and put them in your boots and they stand up straight. And the nice thing is people used to use the noodles, right? But then you got to find a place to put those noodles. At least these can lay flat, right? Okay, now here is my absolute #1 best organizing solution. So she told you I've published a book called 2 Minutes or Less. So I'm all about not procrastinating the easiest tasks. If you can do something in 2 minutes or less, do it immediately. Never put off those really simple chores. This is actually, velvet hangers are wonderful for keeping your closet really neat and organized. You can put more stuff in there, not that we want more stuff, right? But here's one of my best 2-minute rules. When you take something off of the hanger, and this is for everybody in this room, including my husband, okay? When you take something off of the hanger, just put that hanger at the end of the rack. How long did that take? 2 seconds? How much time does it save the person who's doing the laundry? A lot of time. And one thing that I've gone into houses and they say, oh, I've got all this pile of laundry that needs to be hung up because I can't find any hangers. So they let the laundry pile up. When you can easily train, you can train your 5-year-old to put the hanger at the end of the rack, can't you? That is my best 2-second organizing solution. Another thing that I do is use vertical space, up and down. Keep as much off the floor as possible. This is on the inside of a cabinet, and of course this is old. I don't still have those because it expired in 2000. Oh well, it was in 2016. But I use command hooks, and any way you can find to hang hats. Hats are a problem. There's all kinds of good options. This happened to work well for me. Here's a fun option for kind of expanding the space in your bathroom. I love S-hooks. And you can't see this. Sorry about that. It's a little fuzzy. But you can tell any kind of rod that you can hang and use S-hooks to hang things. Just keep things off the floor. Keep things visible. These are actually put on the inside of a cabinet door, just to kind of keep things visible. I saw this and I thought, oh, that's a good idea in a kid's room. You got your wire shelving and S-hooks. Here's another option for like the inside of a laundry, a linen closet. And just even in kids' rooms. Those really make good organizing for kids' rooms, their hair things and toys and things. The tension rods, and I thought this was a really great idea. I'll use anytime I can use a rod, anytime I can keep things from hiding. That's the bottom line. Keep them from hiding. You got a tension rod, you got things hanging there, and you can see everything. So basically, if you can see it, you can use it, right? Okay, 10 more things that you can do in 2 minutes or less. So you walk in the door and you put your keys, purse, wallets, coats, backpacks, and shoes in the same place so that you can find them the next day. Make your bed. Is that a good 2 minutes or less thing to do? And that literally makes your whole day go better, right? It makes you a better human. Here's one that's so easy, it's not funny. This is probably my second best one. Rinse and put your dirty dishes in the dishwasher. If you just sit them in the sink, then they're going to collect, and then you're going to have several minutes to clean up. Not to mention the fact that this stuff is kind of dried on there if you leave it too long. That is another really good 2 minutes or less. When you get up from the sofa, fold the throw and straighten the pillows. It doesn't take that long. How about throw away your trash? And don't worry, I'm going to address trash coming up. Shred your sensitive information. You know, don't, or at least, and I'll give you some more options for that. If you can't do it right away, you can at least put it somewhere where it's not with everything else. We'll address that later. Return everything to exactly where you found it, not just nearby. So if you open that utility drawer, remember it's not a junk drawer, the utility drawer, and you return the tape to that little place where it sits instead of just sitting it on top of the counter. Let's see. Put the junk mail in recycling. You walk in the door, you know you're not going to use it. Go ahead and just put it in recycling. Okay, and I'll address that later because this is a big deal. So, in fact, it's coming up. File, don't pile, or at least flag. Okay? And I'm going to show you how to do that. Oh, so never, never, never pile the important things with the junk mail. Especially if you are someone who scoops and hides. Because when the piles get too high, or our company's coming. Okay, and this is why. Are you ready for scary picture? Another scary picture? Because this guarantees that you will lose important things and waste valuable time looking for them. I'm watching my time. Okay. This happened. This happened this year. A 90-year-old man fell in his home, and he outlived 2 wives, never had children, and this is what they found among some other things. And that we found a lot of boxes of scoop and hides. And we had to look through them to make sure there wasn't anything sensitive or anything important or money, because I always find money, sometimes a lot of money. A lot of money. Okay? So you have to look through it. And in the whole house, he fell, he didn't get to come back to his house, so he didn't get to decide what happened to his stuff. These are some of the hardest things we do when people don't get to decide what happens to their stuff. But when it was all said and done, I took 14 printers to Free Geek, Arkansas. Okay? So he had a lot of stuff, and he was just a collector of stuff. Okay, so we're going to address the mail. Why you don't do this, why you don't just collect everything all together, pile it up. because you want that. This is the separation process. So sometimes what I'll do is, this is kind of my system. When I've got a lot of mail that needs to kind of be separated, then I'll set up little baskets. These are from the Dollar Tree, and I flag things. Okay, so that nothing ever, look here, nothing is ever on the bottom of the pile. Okay, and I date things. Oh, I need to make sure that I pay that. Okay, I actually already paid it, so I'm ahead. Here's something. Oh, this is from, this was a piece of possible junk mail, but we might want to do this. So I put a little expiration date on there. So when I find this and I look and I think, oh, it's December the 15th. This is old, so I can get rid of it. So basically the bottom line is, doing this system is just to make sure you don't keep things past their usefulness date. And then this is my little pile of, oh, I've got to do this. This is not anything I can ignore. And one thing that you cannot see here very well is, I took this pile, these little baskets, and I stacked them. So now I've got my sorting. So I've taken out the random and miscellaneous, and now I have some order. This also takes out the overwhelm. Okay? So the thing that I try to do is I make downsizing as easy as possible. And I keep a donation bag in my closet. And when I pull a shirt off or something off, and I say, you know what? I have rejected this 3 times. You know where it goes? In the bag. And when I bring something new in, I try to get rid of 2 things, okay? Because we like to shop. I don't know if you've noticed, but they've got a lot of stuff out there. And they spend a gazillion dollars marketing, right? And guess what? It's working. We are shopping. Now, here's one of my solutions. More trash cans. I have probably more trash cans than anyone else, and my husband can vouch for that. So I have trash cans in the closets. I keep my shred and recycle right beside my little trash in my office. I have one by every vanity, even though they're kind of sort of close, but I want to make it very easy for the trash to go in the can. I have one inside my front door. Do we usually walk in with stuff? I have 2 or 3 in the garage. I have one near my back door. And I also have one by every chair that my husband sits in. So, can we please stop suffocating ourselves? So, is this person using all this stuff? Okay. Another thing that I tell people is, don't keep anything that someone else can and most likely is keeping for you. Okay? So we keep a lot of things that other people are keeping for us. The younger generation gets this, right? You don't keep bank statements. You do everything on your phone. I'm talking to you all, right? You access your accounts on your phone. You pay your bills. You don't keep all those bank statements. You don't need your electric bills from 4 years ago. You don't even need it from, I don't even keep it from last month, because you know what? I can get it online. Another good place to get things is, you're standing here in this room. What can you get at the library? Books. Why not save money and get books at the library? But you can get a lot of other things at the library too. And you know what you can do? You can donate books at the library. I talked to the lady and she said, we take books. We don't take magazines or encyclopedias. That makes it easy, right? Donate your books to the library, and when you need a book, come to the library. So, At some point, I realized I wasn't organizing my life. I was organizing my clutter. That's when I changed strategies and I went from world-class organizer to world-class declutter. Instead of arranging and containing things, I got rid of them. Instead of shuffling them around my house, I escorted them out the door. That was Francine J. So I say, stop shuffling stuff and start letting go. This was an 88-year-old lady who lived in a retirement home. This is an independent living home. Yes. She used a walker. She fell not even in her apartment. And she went to rehab, and 6 months later, she's storing this, and she's paying for rehab. And her son and her decide that she's not going to get to go back, so they call the team in. Tracy was in on that one. She didn't get to decide what happened to her stuff because she was in a nursing home in a shared room. The retirement facility brought us in. Her son brought us in, and when he called me, let me tell you, he was not a happy guy because they are bleeding money, right? Okay, so we got in and we got that done. Are you ready for something even? This was a 95-year-old man, and this was his nursing home room. He was in a wheelchair. These are his sculptures. That's DVDs. And these were his sculptures. He worked in a museum. He tried to sell these. He was not able. He was on eBay all the time trying to sell these. Eventually, the nursing home decided this is not safe. They can't clean. So they decided he needed to go somewhere else. So they brought me in, and the only solution was to take it to auction. I don't even know how much money he made. But let me tell you, when you're 95, your kids aren't spring chickens. So who's there to help? Okay, so this is the one that defines me. This is what I'm going to call the cowbell house. So I had a power of attorney, a guy called me, and he wanted, this man never married or had children. And he was a collector of cowbells and everything else. His house was 1,000 square feet, and and it was like a 1950s house. We found, this is the outside. This was one of the bedrooms in the house. Okay, he went to a nursing home. He developed dementia. They put him in a nursing home, and they bring me in. And the power of attorney says, Lynn, what do we do? Just get a dumpster and dump it all? And I said, no, we have to make sure there's not anything of value there. Well, it turns out there was things of value there. We took it to auction, and he had 1,300 cowbells. And these are 1,300 cowbells in a 1,000 square foot house. Some of them were in the attic, and I don't mean a nice pull-down walk-up attic. I mean get a big ladder and crawl. He had furniture. He had trunks in the attic. He started collecting these. That was going to fund his retirement. But he waited too late, and dementia set in, and they put him in a nursing home and brought me in. And I said, let's look through it and see what's here. We had to make sure we found everything of value. At auction, and I'll show you the rest of the pictures, he also collected padlocks. He had one in the world padlocks. We had bidders from 5 countries, okay? All these are iron. So he was an antique hoarder. And all that stuff was crammed into those spaces that you saw. Let's see if I got them all. Yep, more and more. 3,000 keys, so 1,300 cowbells, 2,000 padlocks, 3,000 keys. We made $75,000 at auction, and that sounds like a lot, but he had one in the world things. Had he done what he intended to do, he probably would have made $500,000. So he left a lot of money on the table because he waited too late. So, let's not try to leave our family a lot of stuff. Let's leave them part of ourselves, okay? And the way we do that is write your story. So if you've got some things that are of value in your home and you don't want it to be forgotten, take a picture. Write your story. This is another reason it's good that I'm doing this in October, early October, because Christmas is coming up. And we're thinking, what are we going to get? Do we need to get them more stuff? And the answer is no. Okay, the kids don't want more stuff, do you? You can tell us what you want. Oh, no. Well, you tell them what you want. We'll talk about that. Okay, so I want you to write your story and incorporate anything that's of importance in your story. If there's a piece of an antique china cabinet or something like that, put that in your story. Take pictures of your stuff. Put that in your story. I don't want you to forget the story. I don't want you to forget the stuff. I want you to use your stuff. But you saw some of those pictures. Stuff wasn't getting used, was it? So, write your story. Put pictures of the stuff in your story. Let the stuff go. You decide where it goes while you're in control. That's the bottom line. And that can be your best gift to your family. Would anyone agree? Yes. And that's it. Okay. Now, hang on. Get this off. Okay. Okay, now I'm ready for your questions. You tell me what you're dealing with. Why you would come to something called minimalism for everyone. How about the young people? Oh, sure, I'll take yours.
I'm in a two-bedroom apartment. I've got to keep things, but I also have a 77-year-old mother who likes to downsize onto me, but she could downsize a lot more. And that's my first question. Will this be available on the website, the library website?
Yes, this has been live streamed.
Okay, so it will be on the website.
You can show them.
Okay.
And if you need more help, I can talk to them.
Okay. Well, they're in Tulsa, so
Okay.
that's no problem.
Yes, I get that a lot. And I have some good recommendations. And the thing is, it was important to them, and they want it to be important to you. But you have other things that are important to you. Am I right?
Yes.
Okay. So you kind of have to find a way. Here's a good option. You could say, let's take a picture of it. And maybe you could help them write their story. The thing about the story is we don't live the way we used to. We don't sit on the front porch and drink iced tea and talk about our stories, do we? What do? We're on devices. Okay? So I don't want the stories to be forgotten. So that would be a good option. Get with your mom. If she says, oh, I want you to keep this, let's take a picture of it and let's find someone who needs it more. Now, that's not always possible because sometimes it is something that's totally personal and no one else would want it. But the bottom line is eventually everything goes away. You don't get to take anything with you. Am I right? It sounds a little insensitive, but it's real, right? So the bottom line is you got to make sure that you value the things that are worthy of value. And what is that? The people, right? The ones who are going to be with you in your final moments or in your most difficult times are the people in your life, not the stuff. So I want it to be more about people than possessions. Okay? So did that answer your question? The other thing that when the kids say, "Oh, my mom brings this stuff to me and she wants me to keep it," and sometimes I say, just say, "Thank you. If I can't use it, I'll find someone who can." So that values it, but it also lets them know that you're not committed to it. Okay? And then it also gives them the option if they think, ooh, they might get rid of it, then they can hang on to it. And it becomes, they don't transfer it to you. This is what I tell the parents is, if you take care of your stuff and don't leave it for your children, unless you don't like your children. So that's not a good way to show your kids you love them. So those pictures that I showed you of those people who lost control, and I told you several instances they didn't have children, but if they had children, how would the children have felt? Horrible. Okay, some people are there, I know that. Okay, more questions? No? Okay, yes.
So my husband and I don't have kids, but we have relatives. And when we think about doing something with these historical photos or things that have been handed down to us, we've not been quite the keepers of everything, but we also anticipate that family members may not want these things.
Mm-hmm.
But it's almost like, I feel like we've got a responsibility to send some of these things to other family members, just for the continuity of the family storytelling or things. But how do you address that? How do you start saying, we're not going to keep these things, we're going to give them time?
First of all, I will be the first one to admit that it is very hard. And I have seen people in some really difficult situations, even where they literally, in fact, one of my things is I say artists are the hardest because their art is so personal and it's part of them. But eventually, when everybody's taken what they want in the family and you've hopefully taken pictures of it, you can put it in a book, which takes up a lot less room, right? But eventually I have watched widows cry while they tore the artwork up and put it in the dumpster. Because when it has a price tag on it and it's sitting in a bank somewhere, their artwork, you can't donate it to Goodwill, and it can't be on the shelf for $5. So that addresses that one issue. Then your issue is this: document those pictures, take pictures of the pictures, that digitizes them. Then you can store them on the cloud, whatever that is, right? But you can go several ways. You can package what you want to go to different people and send it to them, and then it becomes theirs. That's what I've had some people do. They just box it up. They don't give them an option. And sometimes that's what people do when they're doing the downsize to move to retirement living. They'll get a box or a package for each family member, and they'll put in it what they want them to have, and they'll seal it up, and they'll hand it to them, and then it's out of their hands. So that might be an option for you. If you're not someone who can do the online books and things like that, then maybe you can get someone younger to do it. Another reason why I encourage the book thing is because For some of those people who did go to nursing homes and they had some dementia, you can actually have a conversation with them if you've got pictures of their stuff and stories. You can actually have a conversation longer than you would be able to if you didn't have those visual things. So did that kind of answer your question a little?
Yeah, because I've had it in my head to create boxes of things and just send them.
Yes.
And, not say, would you like this, but
Exactly.
This is from me. I don't care what you end up doing with it. You might appreciate these things or not, but that's to you then.
Mm-hmm.
So thank you. I will quote
Okay.
you anonymously.
Good. Somebody else?
Sorry, there is companies out there that you send the pictures to them and they make it for you.
Yes.
Like a drive or.
There are companies who you can send it all to them and they'll make it for you. And then you still got to figure out kind of how to write the story with it. Yeah.
I mean, if they somehow lose it, you can just be like, well,
Oh. That's a good one, yes.
So Lynn, after you worked with me, I took all the videos and stuff off the little 8-track thingies of my kids, and I packaged it all up and I sent it to this company called iMemories. And I was expecting it to be less than it was, but it cost me $1,000, and they did it all, and then they sent it back to me, but I'm not real sure what to do with what they sent back to me.
So what format did they send
It's
it?
in the cloud, and I paid $49 for a whole year for it to be there, but then I can take it off, but I'm not good with technology, so I've got to get somebody who can help me put it on drives to keep it for later.
Mm-hmm. That's kind of what you have to do. And that's the other thing is you have to count the cost. Do you really want to spend $1,000? And when you've got all these old media things and you really don't know if you want to keep them forever, do you really want to spend a ton of money?
But I spent $3,000 on the equipment to do it over the years and had them, and if I didn't send it to them, I would never see them ever because
That's
I have
true.
no way to see them.
Mm-hmm.
And they did a good job, and I am glad I did it.
And now the technology that we have now is much easier, isn't it? We just take a video and we have it, and yes, we have it on our phone, and yes, it takes up a lot of space, but at least it's a lot more accessible, right? So I do love technology. Anybody else? Yes.
Can you speak to any hints or tips for people who have ADHD?
Yes.
Because that's a big.
I actually do. I am actually involved in a group that where the leader is an ADHD coach. In fact, I was her first speaker when she started like a couple of years ago, and I'm going to speak again in January. And I work a lot with people with ADHD, and I think that my simple methods kind of help. It's kind of hard to lose focus when it just takes you a couple of seconds or a couple of minutes to do things. So I kind of that helps keep them focused. The book 2 minutes or less is kind of right up that alley. But so yes, I do work a lot with people with ADHD, and I actually, this is what you can do. So my handout for that class, I talk about how to, the thing that I kind of teach them or help them to do is think progress, not perfection or completion. Okay? So, and I'm learning a lot more about ADHD than I have before. I do have quite a few clients. One book that I found extremely helpful was called Dirty Laundry. And it's just a real simple book, and it talks, and it's from a woman's perspective, and then her partner weighs in. So it's like she does a chapter, and she tells her story, and it's very personal, and then he weighs in on how he helps her. It's very helpful, and it opened my eyes to what ADHD really is. And I always, just thought it's a focus thing, but it's more than that.
What's that author's name?
You would ask. I'll get with you. I'll get with you later. Yes.
So I'd love to get that information.
Okay, I'll get you that information. So the ADHD group I work with, and then an ADHD coach, and she always brings in speakers, different speakers, whether they're therapists or doctors, but people who help people who have ADHD. Yes.
Do you have pictures of your uncluttered, non-cluttered?
Actually, those utility drawers were mine. I took those last night. Yes.
This is wondering if you work with a psychologist. I've got a friend that, I've got my own issues I need to declutter, but I've got a friend that's basically a hoarder, like the 7 storage units, and my friend doesn't want to admit she's a hoarder, kind of denies it, kind of says she's a collector, just, way too much stuff, and, I know it's not just the stuff that's a problem, it's just a symptom, basically.
Right,
So
absolutely.
I think, you need to address the cause, right? So once you clean it out, it doesn't then go right back to.
Okay, so let me tell you something that I didn't tell you. So every single one of those hoarders, the owner was no longer in the picture. They had already either passed or they were somewhere else, and they never got to come back to their home. That's sad, very sad when you're going through their stuff and you're realizing this was their life. But I did do one, and I don't think, it was in the pictures. It was a lady who was getting ready to move closer to her daughter, and she was only in her 60s, but she was not very, she didn't have much mobility. She had to have a chair just to do her dishes, and she had 800 cookbooks. And she didn't cook, and she didn't entertain. And COVID allowed her to be more of a recluse. So when I went into the scene, and I did this one as a rescue, okay? Because I knew that either she was going to die in the house and somebody would find her too late, or one of her cats was going to die and under the bed and she wouldn't be able to get it out. So this was a rescue I did for her. That did not go well because it's a problem. It's not just a clutter thing, it's a mental problem. That's why I don't really like the hoarder shows, because I think they exploit people's sickness. So in that situation, we did the best we could, and but a lot of times when people will call me in to help a parent or whatever, I have to tell them, I'm sorry, we've missed the point where they can actually do it themselves, and you really have to wait for a crisis. And that's really hard. Hard to say, hard to do. So that's why I tell people, I try to get people young, I say, we should always be what? Purging and downsizing. We should be in the mindset of letting things go on a regular basis. You open a drawer and you look in and you think, oh, I'm not using this. Let's get it out. Let somebody else use it, okay? Yes?
So, you can ask a question. This is, my husband and I live in a tiny house that's about 8 by 24 feet, or about 200 square feet.
Mm-hmm.
That's small. We're comfortable there, but we're building a new shed because of the one that we currently have is very small and plastic and falling apart and so on, and we need the space to have the lawn care things outside of the kitchen.
Yes.
We need a shed, like a
Mhm.
sturdy shed.
Mhm.
It'll be a lot bigger, but we were kind of planning to purge and downsize and get rid of the things from the old shed and the storage in the house after the new shed is built, so that we can organize it and put it away. Because the only space to organize things would be on the grass outside.
Mhm.
There's no other space. There's no indoor table, but we could put a table outdoors.
Yes,
but
definitely.
It would rain, we'd have to do it kind of very carefully.
Mhm.
But do you think it would be better to do that, to organize these things and downsize after the new shed is built, or before the new shed is built and then gets full of the stuff packed away again? I'm not sure which is best, because they both have pros and cons.
Yes, you're right. They both have pros and cons. The one approach, and this is good for the ADHD brain, is to just tell yourself, okay, we can't do everything, but we can do something. In fact, Benjamin Franklin said, for every minute spent organizing, an hour is earned. And one of my other favorite quotes is, nobody made a greater mistake than he or she who did nothing because they could only do a little. So we got to get in our mindset, we can do a little. So maybe on a Saturday or whatever day off you have, set a timer. Say, we're not going to go out there and clean the shed. We're just going to spend, 30 minutes, an hour. And having the timer keeps you focused. You're not going to get distracted. You don't have to answer the phone for an hour unless it's an emergency, and you can know that, or pause it. But get in there, and I would start working on that so that when you get the new shed, you've already started the process. And it doesn't become a bigger job, easier to procrastinate, okay?
That was what I was afraid of. I'm kind of afraid of the not having any room to sort things, and the what if we don't do it now and then it stays forever.
Exactly. Or you just start putting things into the old shed, and you have the old shed and the new shed. So I would get the table. The tables are very helpful, and it also having a table means you're not doing a lot of bending over. So it's less stressful on your back. So is that good?
As long as the weather cooperates.
Okay. And you had a question?
You say declutter and get rid of stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Are we talking Goodwill always? I mean,
No,
box it up and
not
take it to
necessarily Goodwill. I
All
like
right,
I
not
like
all
to
from Goodwill.
right. I shouldn't say this because we're live streaming. I like Potter's House because Potter's House does not turn many things away. I actually took a king-size mattress to them recently. Some places do turn things away, and when I'm driving up with a whole bunch of stuff, I don't want them to cherry pick. Just take it, okay? So I go to the place that takes most everything. And then you can get a tax receipt, and I also like to go to the places that do the most good. Another good reason to go to Potter's House is because they recycle metal. So you take those pieces of metal, and I am all about keeping things out of the landfill because we're putting enough in the landfill already, aren't we? Yes.
I take a lot of stuff to the metal recycling place on school.
There you go. The metal recycling, any place. I love Free Geek because they take almost everything, and yeah. So and they do the e-waste. Yes.
I was curious if you had like something to print or that would talk about what you can and can't recycle.
Oh yeah, the recycling places will have those, and I mean a lot of them show it. And the thing is, they kind of change. So you have to stay up on that. So lots of things recycle. We're in Fayetteville. The one on North, is it North, right? That's a good one. Lots of places recycle things. You can even recycle shoes and clothes. if you can't donate them. Although the recycle place wants the good stuff too. They all want the good stuff. But yeah, so, oh, we're 7 o'clock.
Would you do one thing?
Yes.
Repeat something?
Yes.
When you were talking about the ADHD,
Mhm.
you said think progress, not necessarily something or completion.
Completion or perfection. That's kind of what I'm hearing, that a lot of times with the ADHD mind, they don't want to start a project if they can't get it perfect. And so they end up not doing it. And I say you can't focus on perfection or completion, just progress. Sometimes if I walk by something and I'm going, I can't do everything, but I can throw this one thing away, or I can put this one thing in donation. And that, remember I said I make it very easy to put things in donate. So, constantly. Okay. Well, thank you. Thank you. I guess that's it. Oh.